Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here. Welcome back to Stormgate Central. We have some new and exciting news today. Frostgiant have just revealed 4 of the maps that are going to be in Stormgate. So more specifically here, they've basically released the map pool for the upcoming show match that's going to be shown at Dreamhack Atlanta on the 17th of December in just 3 days time on Sunday. So for those of you who haven't heard about this is going to be the first ever show match for Stormgate. It's going to be Mana facing off against TLO, both of whom are pretty well-known StarCraft 2 pro players. And then whoever wins out of them is going to be playing the GOAT of Warcraft 3, Moon. So this is going to be 2 best of 3 matches. It's also going to be casted by the one and only Tastosis. I'm sure everybody is familiar with who they are. And so just yesterday, Frostgiant shared the map pool that the players are going to be playing on. But what's more interesting here really for me is that we actually get an overview for each of the maps, so we're able to see all of the expansions, all of the Illuminite ore mines, all of the Therium deposits, and where all the resources are, and just sort of how Frostgiant are thinking about their map design here going into the launch of the game later on in 2024. But before we begin, guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, it would really make my day if you could hit that subscribe button. We're going to be covering all of the Stormgate news going forward up to the release of the game, and then of course on release we are going to be going over guides, build orders. I'll probably be doing some casting and things like that because I've always really wanted to do that. So if you guys are interested in that, then feel free to stick around on the channel. A like also really helps the video and helps it be seen by others on the algorithm. So thank you so much guys for your support. Okay, so this is the first map here. It's called Broken Crown Hinterlands, and for the map features it says there's a defendable natural expansion and central resource camps. Apologies for the quality. I have had to zoom into this quite a lot just so you guys can see it clearly if you happen to be watching on a mobile device or whatever. But let's take a look at this map here. So down in the bottom left here, this is the spawn, and as you guys can see by the cliffs, this does indeed appear to be high ground. It looks like there's a small ramp going down here into the natural, and that is also on the high ground, and then you have another ramp going down into what appears to be the third. Now what is interesting is that I think these little blocks here are the secondary resource in the game. So the gold one here is Luminite, which is basically like your gold mine if you like, and then the secondary resource is called Therium. And it appears that in both the main and the natural you have Therium, but as we get over to the third here, I don't see any Therium. I could be wrong, but I don't see here any on the map. Now what we have here are trees, and what's interesting about trees in Stormgate is that the trees can be demolished by a number of units. So for the Vanguard you can use Vulcans to use their charge ability to take down the trees. You can also use Magmadons if you're playing as Infernal, or alternatively you can use Workers and they can mine the trees away there. So if we continue along, it seems there's another ramp up to some more high ground, and that's where you've got the 4th expansion position. And then down actually at the bottom here, below the cliff, this looks like another Therium deposit. So that one there is probably going to be quite difficult to actually maintain and keep up there. Now we also do have this expansion. So I guess on this map you've got 2 options for a third, right? You can either go the easy way and take the Luminite deposit here that doesn't have any Therium, or you can make your way through this set of trees here and take this third, which is also apparently on high ground and is therefore going to be easier to defend. That does mean, however, you are going to need some sort of unit that's able to take down these trees, even if it's a worker and you just take down a single line of the trees to get your worker through there and build yourself a shrine or a command post. Well, if somebody rushes up there, you're not going to be able to get your entire army through this tiny little bottleneck, so you'll probably have to clear out all of the trees there. As we see on the other side of the map, it's basically just mirrored. And then we have this middle section of the map. There's a couple of gold mines in what appear to be very difficult to defend positions. And then we've also got this nice bit of high ground that you're, I guess, going to be able to make some pretty insane flanks. I mean, you can see if you just click into the enemy's base, your units are going to walk this way through the middle of the map. And so if you're able to keep control of the high ground here and here, and you'll also notice there are some little ramps up onto the high ground there, then you might be able to get some pretty nice concaves there on the enemy death ball or the enemy army. Moving on, we have Secluded Grove. So it says, for the map features rich resources in the central forest here, destructible trees open up paths, and distant creep camps. So we can't actually see the creep camps on the map, which is a bit of a bummer, so we don't really know what it means there by the distant creep camps, but I can certainly understand why they're referring to this map as a grove. It really looks like it's just trees. There is a little bit of rock formations here, obviously around the base. This is on the high ground, and then as soon as you get down into the natural, that is way more open than on the, was it the Broken Crown Hinterlands that we were just looking at there. You can also see all of the trees around the middle of the map. These are all destructible if you have the right units, so you can certainly open up some interesting paths of aggression into your enemy base. You can see there's like a small line of trees down there, for example, so if you wanted to make your way all the way down there, you could come in this sort of a flanking angle here on the third, instead of going like the regular way that's most likely to be heavily defended. So if we look at the bases here, I don't actually see any Therium. I see Therium here in the main, and then of course there's a Luminite mine there, and then on the natural and the third, I only see Luminite, so not really sure what's going on with the Therium. There's also what looks like a very sketchy fourth base up here that you can definitely take. I think fourth base on this map is probably going to be difficult to hold. The first, second, and third, not too bad, but then, you know, if we look at it from this player's perspective, if you want to take a fourth, well, you've either got to go up here, and you've only got trees for defense, so if that player decides to just make a beeline and cut into the trees there, well, that could be the end of your fourth base, or you can go all the way in the corner and maybe try to take a bit of a sneaky base. I suspect that these two positions here may well be ones that aren't discovered very often. And then, of course, right in the middle here, you have the true Secluded Grove, I suppose, of this map. And there, of course, we can see not just one, but two Therium deposits and two Luminite mines. So if you can make your way sneakily in there with a worker, build a shrine or a command post, and start mining away, that base could potentially go completely undetected. Okay, our third map here is Jagged Maw. Now this one is really different. I gotta say, straight away from looking at this, it kind of gives me Scrap Station vibes. If you guys remember that map all the way back when StarCraft 2 first released with Wings of Liberty, that was definitely one of the more interesting 1v1 maps. And so the features of this map are long ground distance, middle destructible debris, and siege camps. So I think the siege camps, if you've watched some of the streams of people playing on this map, they seem to be these like ballistas or catapults that you can essentially creep, and you unlock one of these catapults, and I think they're just automated, so they just go and attack your enemy's base, dealing damage to vehicles. So a really great way of taking down enemy towers and defensive positions, but they're controlled by the computer, right? So you have to go and support them with your army. So here you can see this absurdly long ground distance. You've got to walk all the way around the edge of the map to get to the enemy base. You'll also notice that it's of course close by air, so we may see some pretty heavy drop play, maybe some air units like the Hornet for the Vanguard or the Spriggan for the Infernals as well. So potentially a lot of harassment happening on this map. As for the expansions, pretty straightforward. You've got your second down here, down the ramp. The third is actually up on high ground again with two deposits of Therium. I guess like this deposit is for the third and this deposit is for the natural, but it's kind of in an awkward position, so you're probably going to have to make your workers like walk up the hill to get the Therium there. And then there's a fourth over here again with Therium. So every base does have Therium here, and you can expand probably pretty safely along the side of the map here. However, if we look in the middle, you can actually make your way through the middle of the map. So they did say there is some destructible debris. I'm going to assume it's whatever I don't know if these are trees. They don't really look like trees. It doesn't really seem like a map that has trees. I guess it's kind of like an arid desert. But whatever this is probably destructible. Otherwise, it looks like you can make your way through this very long, windy road and come out close to the enemy's base. Of course, we've got some double Luminite expansion spots here that you can take as well. So if you want to go for a natural down here and then just go and take the double Luminite, that's also a possibility. So very interesting map there. And for the fourth and final map here, we have Titan's Causeway. The features here are that it's a small map and there are many pathways to each side. So this map looks like it's going to be absolutely chaotic, lots of flanking routes to get through. I don't really see that much Therium. Of course, we've got Therium here in the main. I guess this will be the natural rather than this. This has got to be the natural. This may be Therium here. And then I think we've got a third that doesn't have any Therium. You know, this is surrounded by trees, so you do have a little bit of defense here with this as the choke point if nobody's made their way through the trees. But obviously, this is open to exploitation as well. And then I guess this would be like the fourth base there. Coming into the middle of the map, you do again have these double Luminite expansion spots, one there and one there. But, you know, you can just see here, if you want to get through the map, of course, the easiest way is to make a beeline straight through the middle. But some of these choke points look very small and hard to get through. So if you're playing as Vanguard, for example, the tanks of this game, which are called the Atlas, I can imagine those being pretty great at holding positions. But you don't need to necessarily go this way, right? You can work your way all the way around the edges. You can flank through the trees. So this map here could be, you know, really, really interesting and see some really great drop play, I think, as well. So I don't know about you guys, but I found that pretty interesting. Really cool to see the way the maps are being made here. I do wish we could see the creeps though. As you guys will probably know, Stormgate does have creeping, and if you've been watching any of the live streams, there are a number of different creep camps that you can encounter. So some of them will leave a health aura in their stead where you can regenerate your army's health bars. Some of them will give you a speed buff, some of them will give you resources, and depending on where those resources are, it really changes the matchup essentially, because let's say you've got some really cheesy rush tactic like a tower rush or a bunker rush or something along those lines. You've maybe figured out the timing of it to be absolutely perfect, but it may only work optimally on certain maps that allow you to get those resource creeps that give you enough resources to be able to rush without making too many workers and get to the enemy base quicker. So you may see certain maps that are better for rushing, not just because of the layout of the maps and the distance between bases, but also because of the resource creeps that are available there. So I honestly can't wait to see once the pro players get the game properly in their hands and they're able to share builds and we're able to watch competitions and things like that to see what happens. And I mean, more so, I'm excited for this show match. I really hope the players have prepared some interesting tactics here and we're going to see some really fun gameplay depending on the map, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens on Sunday. Guys, if you enjoyed the video today, hitting that like button is always a big help. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoy the content and you want to stay up to date with everything Stormgate. But otherwise, have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next video.